Hello, welcome and welcome back. This is Jacob and today we are gonna be continuing the narration and character voicing for the Siracusano side story in Arknights. And as always, to anybody who is new to these narrations in the channel, a playlist for this entire thing is in the description of the video if you want to start from the very beginning. And it also includes at the very top the story where pretty much everything began with Code of Brawl, which does split into two big stories, including this one, and continued on in to be continued with one of these stories in there if you want to go in order. Obviously you don't need to, but if you want to see the entire story play out from start to finish, that's how you tackle it. Outside of that, thank you very much for the likes and comments on the previous part, and let us begin with today's section with the recap first. As always, for those of you who want to skip over the recap, timestamp in the comment section below, hit it and you'll be right at the stages. And speaking of stages, today we are not gonna be having any of the side adventures or solo adventures, whatever, of the characters because none of them have unlocked for the parts that we are gonna be going over today. So today we're gonna go over 3 battle stages worth of stories, so strap yourselves in, this is gonna be a long one. But outside of that, recap first. So, on the previous part, pretty much the long and short of it was that the preparations for the rehearsal kept on going. Meanwhile, Bernardo made a decisive call to a certain Demetri that we already know, issuing some orders. While, in the meantime, Lapland decided to do a very crazy stunt. Namely, she took a truck and plowed it through the wall of the courthouse in which Texas was being held on trial for the death of Karachi, that she is pretty much being placed in as a scapegoat to lure certain things out. But Lapland appears and she takes the blame for the assassination of Karachi, which pretty much sets Texas free. And I cannot believe that during that entire section I did not make a single Truck-kun joke. I feel ashamed. But anyway, Truck-kun made an appearance in Arknights finally, and he did not isekai anybody. That is rare. Is that like half his paycheck? Anyway, Lapland took the blame, Texas is now free, and Gambino and Capone have also joined Lapland in prison now, as well on top of everything. Meanwhile, Lapland's father, Don Alberto, decides to visit his daughter in prison to have a few decisive words with her, and while he's visiting there, also hits the shit out of her apparently across that goddamn little cell. And, you know, she is a crazy character and unhinged and stuff, but come on, really? Hitting your own daughter just because she's nutso? Really? I think he needs to have that mandarin or whatever that he carries in his hand stuff up his ass. Anyway, pardon. Just want to get that out of me. But anyway, he has a couple of words and a couple of slaps apparently, and leaves her again in prison. Meanwhile, Don Bernardo takes his son Leon Tuzzo, or Leon for short, and they go and visit someone. That someone being Signore de Lupi. He introduces himself to Leon, and immediately upon hearing the name, or rather his title / name being set to him, he has immediately a vision and understanding of what is happening and who Signore de Lupi is, or what these Signore de Lupi are, because there are multiple of them. Namely, they all are essentially grooming a Fang, a human, to be their representative essentially, cause the Signore de Lupi, while they have a lot of competition and fighting between each other, they cannot die. They are immortal and they want to compete somehow. So they have representatives amongst the humans, and whoever is gonna be the last one standing is gonna be declared the Alpha. And Leon now knows what is happening here and why the chaos is about to ensue. Meanwhile, Sora learns that Katerina aka Giovanna, is the author of La Morte di Texas, and Caterina offers Sora and the two penguin girls the keys to a abode nearby where she would be safe, as she has to rehearse for the opera. And that is pretty much where we left off. Outside of that, the episode was mostly bloated by the happenings of the solo parts for all the characters that I've unlocked in the previous part, so you know, that took up a major part of the episode. But today we shall continue with story alone, so let's get in. Alright then, so today we shall continue down here at Bepe's Craft. Our stage 5 is called Old Rules. Old laws cannot be shaken without the courage to abandon and sacrifice. And for Bepe's Craft it says, the owner of the shop claims to be a nobody, but if an establishment never gets any solicitations from a familia, everyone already knows what's going on. We do, however, so I don't have to go back again, have one new enemy here, which is the Familia Caster, and it says, for Familia trained casters, their Originium arts are the basis of their standing within the Familia. Though these casters have fairly mediocre arts, they at least are effective at inciting hatred. Of course. Anyway, we continue on with the before part. Though I consider the possibility that Lone Tutsa was trying to pull a fast one on me behind my back, my suspicions were confirmed the moment I saw you. You're the real deal, a flesh and blood Texas. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Valak of Familia Rosati. You're Colombian? Of course. Most associates of Familia Rosati are. So, how did you enjoy prison life here? There was nothing special about it. Strange. Logically, you never should have spent so long in jail in the first place. Just what was Bellona thinking? Is there something unusual about obeying the law? The law? What do the courts here in Siracusa have to do with the so-called law? Look at it this way. In most Siracusan cities, standing trial and going to jail is a common coming-of-age ritual for a young mafioso. After that, his Familia associates go pick him up, like a warrior returning home, triumphant. Everything on the surface here is meaningless to those who live by the underworld's ways. What's your point? You grew up in Colombia. Do I need to spell it out for you? A complete joke. There's no other way to say it. But that's why we were able to establish ourselves here so easily. Do you enjoy talking politics? You obviously don't. To be honest with you, I'm not a fan either. I'll get to the point then. Why aren't you dead? None of your business. Fine. Let me ask you a different question then. Why did you come back? Didn't Leon Tutsa tell you already? I owe the Bellonas a favor. So, let me get this straight. You know the Bellonas wanted to bring you back to deal with us Rosatis, but you still went along with it. I didn't know that until I got here, but you could say that. Your bluntness makes me wonder if there's something wrong with me, last of the Texases. Are you going to tell me you forgot the Texas name used to rule all of Colombia's familia, large and small? That your grandfather Salvador was the lodestar for every associate or every familia in Colombia? What the Texases left behind has nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with you? Valak smashes his fist into the coffee table next to him, and fresh blood begins to seep from his fingers. he does not seem to realize it. You are Chelinia, Texas, the granddaughter of Salvatore. As long as you live, those things have everything to do with you. The mere mention of your name at the Rosati table forces us to change the way we do things. Texas was our pride. Do you know how much effort Giovanna put in to reunite the remaining Colombian familia so that Salvatore's blood and sweat would not go to waste? Do you have any idea what it was like to finally give in to Signora Sicilia, traveling thousands of miles to go from Colombia to Siracusa? In order to survive, we even gave up the technology to build a nomadic city, basically letting Siracusa construct a new one for free. That was all because of the fall of Texas. It left us no choice but to accept this reality. And now you, the last Texas, deign to set foot here like you owe the damn place. Claiming that you have nothing to do with all this, that you're just here to pay off a debt. You even go as far as to stand against us. You owe the Belones. That you're even alive means you owe as much bigger debt to the Colombian familia.
I might owe Giovanna an explanation, but I don't owe a thing to the Colombians. After I settle my accounts with the Belones, I'm leaving Siracusa.
You think we'll take your word for it? Your very existence shakes the foundation of Familia Rosati.
Where's Giovanna?
What?
I'm asking, why are you here instead of Giovanna?
I speak for her.
She wouldn't, for example, grovel at Signora Sicilia's feet. Same as she wouldn't send a representative to meet me.
You think you know her so well?
Judging from your expression, looks like I'm right.
Isn't that unlucky? Turns out I'm the only one who doesn't know enough about the legendary Texas. I always thought I was a pretty good actor.
You're not bad. But you speak eloquently and at great lengths about Siracusa, as if you've seen through the country for what it is. It feels very familiar to me. I wouldn't keep doing that if I were you.
Why not?
Because it proves you don't understand this place well enough. But you are right about one thing. Now that I'm back, I should go and have a chat with Giovanna.
You won't be seeing her. Sorry about this, last of the Texases. You're too much like a Siracusan. No, you are a Siracusan, through and through. So I cannot let you see the Donna. You'll shake her, and you'll shake others too. You'll bring ruin to a great many things. So please, turn back. Go close the deal you have with the Belones, and then crawl back wherever you came from. You're free to do what you want from here. But I'll ask you to bear one thing in mind. Familia Rosati does not welcome you. Texas stands up and walks to the door. Unconsciously, the would-be assassins part and make way for her. She looks around, reading anger, bewilderment, disgust, confusion, and other emotions in the eyes of the Colombians. That is what her surname brings to the table. Texas. She lets out a sigh and exits the room.
What an unexpected guest. I want to see Bernardo. I've already warned you several times before not to call the Don by his first name, Signorina Lavinia. You know where he is, don't you? Give me one reason why I should tell you. If standing here listening to you mock me from your position as the big winner is enough to get you to tell me, I'll gladly play along. The big winner, huh? Whatever. It's not like you knowing will do any harm. The Don already left for the Siracusa mansion. You won't be able to see him. If you want to stir up trouble in his household, that's on you. But if the Don has decided to open discussions with the Siracusas, I suggest you don't stick your head where it doesn't belong. Don't need to tell me twice. One more thing, Signorina Lavinia. I don't care what you think about me, but I do hope you do remember this. Leon is a made man in this familia, and he was the first to deviate from our path. We are all one familia, and a familia ought to stick together. Your path? That's a nice euphemism for craven ambition. Huh.
A droplet of rain strikes the ridge of her eye socket and rolls down like a teardrop. Never in her life has Lavinia experienced rain so frigid and biting in Siracusa. But she promptly wipes away the streaks. It's too soon for that.
Who is it? I'm looking for Penguin Logistics. That's me. Do you have time right now? I have a moment. What services does your business offer? We deliver letters, messages, goods, and people. Rain or shine. Perfect. I have a job for you. Oh, Sora, you went to Katerina's place after all. There are tons of resources here, and Miss Katerina even left her notes in a lot of these scripts. She's really passionate about her job, huh? Stop sighing, won't ya? Everybody knows your acting thingy ain't just another way of chasing Texas. Leastwise, you don't want it to be. Right, but finding her is still our top priority. After all, Lapland is back in Siracusa and she's been doing some pretty crazy stuff.
You can say that again.
If you think about it, it makes perfect sense. It always feels like she's there wherever Texas shows up. Do you think she's doing it to help Texas? Looking at the scoreboard, Texas sure as sunshine got her name cleared. But ain't that kinda strange, whichever way you look at it? Yes, I'm sure she has her own goals. I don't have what it takes to deal with that woman. Anyways, she ain't no friend of Texas. Don't take a genius to know that much, but her attitude ain't much like an enemy neither. End of the day, I just can't figure her out for the life of me what it is she wants out of Texas. But the Mafia she gave me earlier was really good. Don't want to hear nothing out of that hungry mouth of yours. It's kind of like how I used to look at Mostima. I couldn't figure her out, but after I gradually stopped thinking about her, she actually started to make sense to me. I feel like it's the same with Lapland.
Look at that growth. Actually realizing stuff.
For people like her, there's no point trying to guess at what they're thinking. It's better to just accept what they say at face value. Only if every word they say is true can you start to figure if they're ultimately trying to weave truths into a lie. Time for me to get some chow. Exia, you watch over things, okay? You got it. Sora, are you practicing your lines again? Oh, hi there, Miss Katerina. We're about to start our performance of Act 2 of La Morte di Texas, so I have to step it up. Oh, I completely forgot. Time sure has a way of sneaking up on you. Exia, would you like some pizza? Sure would! By the way, Miss Katerina, since you're the playwright, you'll be coming to watch the show, right? I actually wanted to tell you that I'm going away for a while. Huh? For how long? Well, it shouldn't be too long, if everything goes as planned. Don't worry, it's nothing major. Something happened back home, and as the eldest daughter, I have to go back and get everything under control. Being a big sister is hard work, isn't it? It's not so bad. Unfortunately, I'm still not sure what to do for the climax of Act 3. Maybe I can find some inspiration back home this time. Alright. Come on, don't look at me like that. We just won't be seeing each other for a bit. I should still be able to find the time to come watch Act 2. Who knows, maybe I'll surprise you backstage and invite you out. Really? After all, I rarely get to make new friends, and I wouldn't want to miss the performance of a script I wrote myself. Right, that settles it then. If you're coming by, you have to let me know. Of course. I'm off then. Goodbye. Bye-bye. See you later.
Donna, you didn't bring any luggage.
After we've done here, I have to head back to finish my script. What's there for me to bring?
Alright.
How have the Salutas and Bellanas been reacting?
The Salutas invited Leontuzza to a banquet, and the old wolf Bernardo agreed to it. That banquet may end up very interesting, and everyone has eyes on it now. Should we respond it anyway?
Valak, help me make some travel plans. I'm going to go watch the opening performance of La Morte di Texas, Act 2.
Is the script you wrote that important to you?
Of course, it is the product of my painstaking labor. Also, didn't you just ask how we were going to respond? That is my response, seeing how Bernardo Bellona is about to step away from his own theater. Naturally, I, Giovanna Rosati, ought to return.
Alright, and straight into the after section. Quartiere Saluzzo. Leon, I've never been one to tell you what to do. I've always hoped you'd come to your own decisions about everything. You've done well all these years. If you really think that, then why did you suddenly decide to act now? Why are you telling me this? Why did you betray Lavinia? Countless questions swirl around Leontuzza's mind, but none of them leave his lips. What he just saw and heard seems to contradict his cognition. He suddenly feels as if the man before him is not his father. He's like a stranger. Because this is the best and only chance. What do you mean by that? You'll find out soon enough.
Signor Bernardo, Signor Leontuzzo, it's a pleasure to see you.
You're not one of Saluzza's associates.
Segretario di Sicurezza Alimentare Rubio, why are you... My Dipartimento is catering tonight's banquet. I'll be cooking personally.
Oh? I've heard that in Volsini, no event worth its salt can be held without the endorsement of Il Dipartimento di Sicurezza Alimentare.
You speak too highly of me. I'm just hoping to make food that satisfies the fine men and women of every familia.
Yet another reason to look forward to tonight's banquet.
You came. Where is he right now? He went to the Saluzza mansion. Okay. You're not going to ask why. I can tell that Bernardo is very important to you. When I became a judge, he didn't ask me to abuse my position to protect the familia backing me, like all the other judges. He let me do what I wanted to do. Leon too. As the Bellona boss in this city, he respected my work and the brand of justice I seek to uphold. Even if I rule against the Bellonas, he sees it as strictly business. In his words, my justice is more effective than blind violence. I don't object to his understanding of justice. He even spends some of his spare time reading law literature. Even so, as a judge, I still have to come face to face with the injustice that constantly plagues the city. The power struggles between the familia, their oppression of the common folk, and the silent rage of the masses. The more I try to uphold justice, the more difficult I realize my path was. I used to comfort myself that at least I'm not the tool of some familia. But how could that be true? My hands are already dirty. I just didn't want to admit it. It's impossible to not to get your hands dirty, even if they seem silly to you. The promise Bernardo made to me was the only reason I was able to remain a judge in Siracusa. Promise? He once told me that after Familia Bellona emerges victorious, he would carve out a piece of land in Siracusa. There the law I placed my faith in would no longer rely on pure power, where the justice I sought could truly be realized. He hoped I could be patient until that day comes. Every time I start to think I couldn't bear it anymore, I think of his promise. Tell me, if all of this was a lie, then what purpose has my life had for the past 10 years? I think, given his power and status, he wouldn't need to lie to you like that. Right, that's why...
Who is it? Huh? You're...
I am Judge Lavinia. I would like to speak with Don Alberto regarding the murder of Karachi.
Your Honor, the Don is entertaining an honored guest right now and doesn't have time to...
By honored guest, do you mean Bernardo Bellone? Please inform the two Dons that this matter is of great importance. I will not leave until I see them.
Please, try this one. I learned it from a Lithuanian chef.
Not bad, not bad. Time has really changed, Bernardo. In the old days, whenever we wanted something, it was all, I must have it and I'll kill anyone who gets in my way. But now, I need to find officials or businessmen who are on good terms with me and ask them to get it for me. Be discreet about it too. Wouldn't want news to get out. Ridiculous. Isn't that right, Rubio?
Anything you desire can be yours, Don Alberto. For one to be called upon to get what you want is his honor.
Secretario Rubio, you must have been plenty lucky yourself to fill that position.
I didn't have that kind of luck, which is why I had to go about it this way. I'm just a clown, carrying favor with the bosses.
Look at this guy, always talking himself down. The fact that you're even here today is enough to prove your worth.
You're right, Don Alberto.
Alright, Bernardo. We've spent enough time exchanging pleasantries. So let's get down to business. You want to do what the Dodici Familia have always wanted to do, but never had the guts. Take her down. And sure, you have my support. But you've only just muddied the waters. If you really want to overthrow her, you're a long way away. The fact that you even dare to come to this dinner shows that the cards are still in your hands. So tell me, what exactly do you plan to do? Alberto, what do you think about Familia Rosati? Rosati? They've got ambition. Familia Rosati isn't alive today just because Giovanna's standing up as Salvadore's successor. Someone must think the legacy of the Texas name, old Salvadore's knack for unification, was an invaluable asset. If you ask me, it's a liability. Charisma this, charisma that. In the end, the money is what talks. It's the only thing that'll get anyone to give a damn about you. You're right, and also wrong. From where we stand, there are always methods of convincing people. And to be fair, I do somewhat admire Giovanna. While the Texas legacy did make for a liability, she took it up willingly and managed to make it her own. It's true that the Rosatis have depended on the wealth and connections they've accumulated, but they've gone too far. In what way? Do you really think she wants to hand over the keys to the new city to either of our familia? We've been jostling for power here, but the Rosatis haven't shown the slightest interest in participating, as if they're not even here in our world. But they are the same Rosatis that took up Salvadore's legacy. They handed over the technology to build that city to Siracusa. Do you really think they're bystanders in all this? To a new city built to commemorate Salvadore. A new city that could change the trajectory of Siracusa. You mind putting it in plain Siracusan for me? How could I possibly be more direct, Alberto? The Dodici Familia have been battling here in Volsini, and to her this is nothing more than a beast-fighting exhibition. Don Alberto? Whispering.
Judge Lavinia and Celinia?
They want to see me and Bernardo. What's the meaning of this, Bernardo? They're not with me. Oh? The Saluzos have never been anything but hospitable to our guests. But to those who are not guests, you can deal with them according to the Saluzzo way.
Alright then.
You heard the man. Yes, Don Alberto. Bernardo, I know you enjoy chatting about plans and the future, but I like more practical topics myself, because you know those like the back of your hand. The people know the Saluzos never place a bet lightly, but few remember that when a Saluzzo does place a bet, he doesn't let it go lightly either. Rubio, the rest is not meant for your ears. I get it. Segretario Rubio, do you have any interest in opera? Oh, I sometimes go when I have the time. Perfect. Take this. This is a ticket to La Morte di Texas, Act 2. Yes, if it sounds like something you'd be interested in, feel free to go check it out. I told you, Bernardo, the time for pleasantries is over. I'd also like to invite all Saluzos and their associates to enjoy the show together. What are you talking about? It's time to go. This is a private party.
And what if I told you I must see the dons today?
The Saluzos have a particular way of showing hospitality to unwelcome guests.
I'm sorry, Celinia. This is what I'm here for, isn't it?
You dare pull your sword on a Saluzzo? Celinia, last of the Texases, are you out of your mind?
Flip that one around.
To kill, not for the sake of killing, but for an honest and sincere hope. Since her return to Siracusa, this is the fight that has felt the least empty to her. That is what Texas thinks. My theater manager informed me that Familia Rosati has reserved a VIP box for tomorrow night's show.
Oh?
Staging a hit in a theater. Is that how the esteemed artistic director of Campagna de Labla operates? It's just sprinkling the dressing of truth onto a play. But there is one thing I still had doubts about. Giovanna has heavies from Colombia among her associates. Especially her boss in the city, Valak. I've heard rumors of his methods. How are we sure we'll be able to bring her down together? Don Alberto? Whispering to him. Sounds like fun. Bernardo, the judge, and that Texas very much want to see us. They've already wounded some of my soldiers. They are both close friends of yours, Bellone. Care to explain? The associates of Familia Saluzzo have always been known for their bloodlust and combativeness. Alberto, if the Rosatis came to attack your home, what do you think their chances would be? Zilch. They wouldn't stand a chance. Gelinia will be the blade that runs through the heart of Familia Rosati. Oh? Where Rosati soldiers can't go, Gelinia can. So, what are you worried about? Can the Rosatis stop her?
I remember you.
I thought you totally gave up on this place, like you never even lived here.
My time with the Saluzzos wasn't so bad.
Then you gotta know what it is you're doing.
I do. Texas, you...
Looking at the unconscious mafiosis thrown around her, Lavinia can't help but be briefly lost for words. Even with all this, Texas was still holding back. She thought she had seen it all in her time dealing with the Familia, but this is still beyond her comprehension.
I'm glad I'm on your side. Unfortunately, it looks like this is as far as we'll get. Huh? Leon?
Lavinia, you shouldn't have come.
I have to ask Bernardo something face to face.
The assassination of the boss of Familia Rosati has already been decided. Saluzzo and Bellone will join forces.
That's the decision they made?
It was our decision.
Where is he?
Dinner just ended. My father is upstairs. You can see him, but nothing will change. Along the way, Lavinia keeps running over a million different things to say. There are too many questions she wants to ask Bernardo. She imagines the countless arguments she'd have with him, as well as their outcomes. She thinks she has mustered enough anger. However, when she steps through the door, the scene she encounters shakes her to the core. Bernardo sits upright in a luxurious chair. In his hands rests a legal codex adorned with thorns, the very same as the one she holds in her hands. He lowers his hands and rubs the tome lightly with his palm, as if completely unaware of the thorns digging into his hands, of the bright blood trickling down. Her chaotic thoughts all freeze in this moment. In the end, thousands of words condense into one.
Why?
The game is over, Lavinia. That sentence alone is already enough for her. Only a few moments of silence pass, but she is already sapped of all her strength. Lavinia turns to leave and does not look back, frightened of the tears about to roll from her eyes. Bernardo remains in place, uttering not a single word as a few drops of his blood dye the floor.
Alright then, and we continue on to stage number 6, Teatro Milano. Sorry, Teatro di Milano. So, title, Old Conflicts. Stand and face the wheels of old, or be run over by them. And as for enemies, we do have one... right. We do have one new enemy here. The Familia Limo. Out of all the things in Arknights, I never thought... Well, we technically fought cars already, but just regular... They were kinda like armored vehicles? Kinda? Right? Actually, no, there was that party bus in... Right, there was a party bus thing. But still, fighting cars in this game is... I don't know. I don't have words. Anyway. The Familia's most common mode of transportation, sporting an interior as unassuming as the exterior, with only the bumper reinforced. In addition to transportation, they will also use this vehicle to bid bon viaggio to their Familia's enemies. Of course they will. Anyway, as for the Teatro di Milano, even if they have the money, ordinary citizens are reluctant to book a box seat. Alright, and that... Oh, went too far. And that brings us to stage number 6. Let's begin. Signor, are you alright? Just dreaming. That's why you shouldn't sleep on the sofa. Where's the old man? The Don went to the theater. Are you going too? Don Tuzzo does not answer, only sinking deeper into the sofa. Quick flashback.
Rosati, Giovanna.
That's right. Jelenia, our original agreement was to ensure the Balanas come out on top. But I've changed my mind. As long as you succeed, you don't owe us anything. At that point, you're free to go. This I promise you is the Fang of Zaro, Il Signore dei Lupi. From the time she returned to the residence at sunset to the break of dawn the next day. Listening to the falling rain, Texas wiped down her sword while reading the script that was handed to her. La Morte di Texas. The story twists and turns, never straying far from what she's known. She has a faint premonition. But first she needs to sharpen her sword. Today it may have to be a bit swifter than usual.
The sun's still getting in my eyes, even though it's raining. Present food's not too bad. You should give it a try.
You're right about that. I've even given him a few suggestions before. Now get in the car.
Can I sit this one out? Does killing a single Colombian really deserve so much fanfare?
The Don says Cholina's gonna be there too.
Oh. What's the plan?
She'll pretend to be an actress, and once the performance starts, you'll improvise the rest.
So what about my costume?
What the Don meant was, you wait in the audience and play along.
Oh, right. What an insensitive old jerk. So, where's he gonna be? He's not trying to find a nice place to watch the show all by himself, is he?
The Don has other business. He's got a meeting.
A meeting?
Yeah, with a car wash worker.
Howdy, Sora. I just knew you'd be practicing in Miss Katerina's studio. I ain't gonna stop you, but don't you think you ought to head to the theater early to do some makeup and get ready and whatnot? Yeah, you have a point. Exia's already off to buy breakfast. We got just enough time to meet her. Okay. Say, didn't we say we'd set up a big old welcome for Exia's sister?
Now, that is an interesting thing to say. I want to keep that one in mind for myself and for everybody who's listening along with this. Didn't she come in? Please don't say anything, by the way. If she is, please don't say anything.
We did. But now I'm not sure we'll have enough time for that. Croissant, watch your step. Huh? Whoa! Ow! Are you alright? I'm fine. Just tripped on a little something. Dang it, I knocked over that stack of books. Let me tidy them up. Huh? A picture dropped out of something. Picture? Wait, huh? What's wrong? Looky here.
It is a photograph from many years ago. Sora can barely make out the background that should be of the wide and bustling streets of Columbia past. In the center of the photograph stands a middle-aged man who wears a kind expression but exudes an audacity not to be trifled with. On his left and right side stands a Lupo girl and a feline girl. The girl on the left has beautiful blonde hair and sports a cheery expression, and even at a glance, one can immediately tell that she has a bubbly personality. The girl on the right has black hair, her face betraying no emotions, making it difficult for one to guess the contents of her heart.
Look, this picture, ain't that Texas as a kid? And standing there with her, that's Katerina? And look on the back here.
Written on the backside of the photo, Giovanna Angelinia, 1080. Just to give you all a time frame, for those of you who might not be aware, for example, the main story of the game kicks off at the end of the year 1096. And the next story, or rather Act 2, continues on pretty much almost a year and a half later after that point. Anyway. Or rather, the story carries over from 1096 into 1097 in those 2 weeks, and then carries over later a year and a half later in Act 2. Not counting the events of Episode 9, which are pretty much just preparing for everything. Anyway, pardon.
Giovanna, is that gonna be Katerina's real name? Giovanna Rosati.
And now they know. How long has this car wash been open? 5 years. 5 years. Coincidentally, that's how long my guard Tuskbeast has been missing. If only I knew how he was doing these days. The city's a pretty big place. There's always a way to survive. It never made any sense to me before. I fed him plenty of meat, gave him a nice den. Why wasn't he happy?
Think he might have been vegetarian?
Maybe, but it never knew how bad meat actually was until it tried a full-course meal. It's better not to eat at all than to eat something bad.
Oh,
Your car's done.
you're pretty good at your job.
Practice makes perfect.
You never fail to get it done just right. But Dan Brown, nothing lasts forever. It's time for you to change your tastes.
I'll think about it.
Think carefully. Once you figured it out, you're always welcome to come back. Are you the backup bassist? Yes. Oh, is that your natural hair color? Yes. That's special. Usually you have to dye your hair to work as a bassist. I've I've heard only those with Amelia Texas blood have that eye and hair color. And now that I'm seeing you up close, your eyebrows look really similar to Salvador's. Are you his bastard or something? No, I have nothing to do with Texas. All sorts of coincidences out there, huh? Okay, take a seat over there. Your foundation's really good, so I should be able to get yours squared away in no time.
In the theater box. Pardon me, are you satisfied with your seating?
Yes, I've got a fine view.
Excellent, excellent. If there's anything you need, please don't hesitate to call for me. Let's sit down.
You're not going to stay and watch?
You know, I've never been a fan of this sort of stuff. How about I grab you a nice drink?
I'd like...
Brandy, I know.
Sorry, I'm late. No worries, everyone's still getting ready. Go ahead and take a seat. I'll do your makeup first. Okay. What's wrong? You don't look too well. Are you getting stage fright? No, I'm fine. Don't worry, Sora. You've been working so hard. Everyone's gonna love you for sure. I hope so. Oh, right. Did you know? What's wrong? Apparently the bassist got sick and couldn't make it to the performance. Huh? What are you going to do then? It's no big deal. The director was able to find a stand-in. She's getting her makeup done in another dressing room right now. A stand-in? Are you sure that's going to work? Just trust the director's judgment, alright? Speaking of the director, he didn't come tonight. He just dropped by to give some direction before leaving again. I think he's meeting with a guest. Important people are always so busy, huh? But it's okay, Sora. You just need to play your part, and that's all. Yes. Oh, if it isn't Judge Lavinia. I haven't seen you here for a while. Have you come to watch tonight's opera? No, I'm just passing by. That's too bad, but did you know we're putting on the highly anticipated La Morte di Texas? I'm sure you'll love it. Sorry, I'm not in the mood. That's alright then, I look forward to your next visit.
Spots Dan Brown passing by.
Huh? Dan Brown? What's he doing here? Did he really take my advice and come to the theater to unwind? But today's performance is... Wait a second. Oh, did you change your mind? That's right. One ticket, please.
Theater box. Don Bernardo, someone's here to see you. Oh. It's Rubio, Segretario di Sicurezza Alimentare. Let him in. Of course.
Don Bernardo?
You can just call me Director here.
Yes, it's an honor to be here, Director.
Take a seat, Signor Secretario. Let's enjoy the show first, then we'll talk. Signore, signori, thank you for being here tonight. You are about to see another spectacular performance brought to you by Campagna dell'Abla. La Morte di Texas, Act 2, written by Signorina Caterina. Every Siracusan already knows the story of Salvatore, but how many truly know the details? Signora Caterina, who has a deep understanding of Familia Texas, provides us with her frank yet intricate perspective. Let us delve deeper into the life of Salvatore. Sora inhaling deeply and then exhaling.
Break a leg, Sora. Right, time to go.
So, just before we begin with that part, the section of Sora will obviously be a singing section. Now, as I have no musical bone in my body, I will obviously not be singing whatever she's doing on top of doing a Sora voice. So just so we are clear on that, I will just be reciting what is being said. I just want to point out that those lines, once the spotlight hits Sora, will be singing. I also don't know the freaking melody of whatever she's singing, so no chance. Anyway.
Phew, finally found them. Atta girl, Sora. Atta girl, Sora scored us seats with a great view. Great expectations for her all around. Excuse me, would you mind letting us through?
Oh, Sancta girl, an unusual sight in Siracusa.
You're a Sancta too? I've been in Volsini for a while, and this is the first time I've seen one of my own people.
Looks like it's one good thing after another today. Go right on by, child.
What's wrong? That's weird. I don't sense any emotions from him. Is he an exiled Sancta?
Now, well, this story probably is not gonna go deep into these emotions and feeling each other's emotions between Sanctas. I would, like I said at the beginning, considering Code of Brawl branches into Guide Ahead, the story that is pretty much all around Sancta in Laterano, I would highly recommend, if you haven't heard that story yet, to go and maybe listen to it. It's very interesting to see how the Lateranos and Sancta are actually operating. Anyway.
But he's unlike any of the Sancta's exiles I've seen. Well, whatever. By the way, am I the only one who thinks way too much of this crowd looks like mobsters? I hear all the head of the Rosati Familias here tonight. I hear tell the head of the Rosati Familias here tonight. Hey, isn't that what you were just talking about? Yep, but let's just enjoy the show for now. In an era where chaos and opportunity came hand in hand, some were swallowed by the tides of the times where others found it in their promised land. Violence and wealth, power and order. Onto Colombian soil steps a Siracusan, bringing with him only scars, hardship and ambition. And thus begins our tale. Ladies and gentlemen, come and bear witness to whom this era truly belongs. That voice. I see how it is. You're here to bring her back, aren't you? But do you really think that's going to happen?
Who the hell are you?
Signore, signori, let the show begin. It really is you, Chelinia. Huh? Texas?
For a brief moment, Texas shifts her eyes to one of the boxes. She knows Bernardo is sitting there gazing down upon everything. She feels it in her heart. Whether coincidence or some form of necessity, in this moment Sora is both a danger and a safe haven. Everything depends on her. The movement in the auditorium and the faint sounds in the distance all prelude the start of the assassination. She gestures to Sora for her to stay silent, then proceeds to pluck the strings in her hands. A most wonderful performance has begun. Back up. This one's tricky. Don't fight her head on. Cover the aisles and the stairs leading up to the Donna's box.
Rosati soldiers are pretty capable after all, huh? Looks like trying to brute force my way through it isn't a realistic option. Silly Texas. It's pretty obvious she's got a recorder in that bass. Sounds convincing though, the way she's plucking those strings. There it is. If I can't break through the front, I'll just have to make a path.
Don't panic. Stand your ground. Aren't you afraid to die?
How are the others doing?
The aisle and stairs leading to Giovanna's box are all guarded. They were ready for this.
Leave it to the Rosatis. But we've never been ones to underestimate Giovanna. Throw more soldiers at them. We're not letting Giovanna out today.
You might not have underestimated Giovanna, but don't you think you underestimated me? What?
You're Valak.
Had I known the show today would have been so exciting, I wouldn't have gone to buy a drink for the Donna.
If Signora Giovanna appreciates a fine wine, I happen to have a selection with me.
No thanks. The Donna enjoys many things about Siracusa, but the wine isn't one. Siracusan wines are too weak. Same as you people who swing your weapons. Doesn't make for a good time.
Maybe you just haven't tried the best Siracusa has to offer.
So, isn't this a great opportunity? Do you know how long I've been waiting for this? Bellones and Saluzos. Let's find out what Siracusa's finest wine really tastes like. Trying to get up this way. Stop her!
I said I was going up.
What? Explosives? Get out of there!
Wow, the seats over the yonder just collapsed. Is that Lapland? Look over there.
Ugh.
Is it another Familia gang war? Move.
She has weapons in her instrument.
Texas.
Texas says nothing. She only shoots her a glance, parting her lips for a second before rushing up the stairs. Zora reads those lips. She said, "Wait for me." A panicked audience member screaming bloody murder.
Run! Run for it! What do you think we ought to do, Axia? Sora's in danger. But...
Someone save me!
Get down! Oh, you're pretty tough for an old guy.
Do I look that old to you?
Well, I guess I wouldn't go that far.
Looks like today's performance is not La Morte di Texas, but rather La Morte di Rosati. Find somewhere to hide, children.
That sounds nice, but our friend is still up there on stage. It's a... Get dang hurricane... Oh, Jesus Christ, her goddamn accent again. It's a goddamn hurricane all around the thing. We can't just go hopping on into that.
The hectier the situation, the worse her accent becomes. Typical.
Let's go backstage then. Okay. Come on, out of my way. Huh?
Oh, brave children.
Thanks, old man. I'll buy you a slice later. Thank you kindly.
Kids these days are so full of pep. What's your plan now, Giovanna? Donna Giovanna, we've got everything locked down. Let's get you out while we still can.
Why? It's a rare opportunity to watch a wonderful show from a fantastic seat. I'm going to have to savor this. Sora, you really are her true friend, aren't you? Now, how are you going to get up here, Chelinia? Even if you find a shortcut, getting to me won't be easy.
But
If I were to run away right now, do you think the Bellonas and Salutas would just give up and call it quits? This is a war now, my dear. The Bellonas and Salutas have decided to end Signora Sicilia's ban on violence and start a gang war.
there's a word missing there. And I have decided it is end. Because it fits very well.
Spread the word. There's one thing we can do now. Fight to the end.
Of course. Looks like fine Siracusan wine was nothing special after all.
I wouldn't gloat just yet, Colombians come. What?
Yes, I know. You Siracusans think the Colombian familia are just rowdy upstarts who haven't paid our dues. And yeah, there are a whole lot of incompetent idiots over in Colombia. But what about you? Can you even sniff out the scent of blood under your so-called guns and order? We've never looked down on Siracusa. But from what I've seen today, you don't even deserve my attention. Balak, we've got a situation at the theater. Someone blew the seats, and Chelinia is heading straight for the 3rd floor. You've got 5 seconds for your last words.
Last words? What's there to say? If you're really gonna do it, then tell Leon Tutsa that I'm sorry.
Sure. What?
Leon? You... I'll handle this my way, Dimitri.
Signor Leontuzzo, here I thought we could get along.
You just lost your last chance for that.
Well. Turns out that the heir to a great familia just oozes charisma after all. You made a fool of me, and still you tell me I had a chance to make things right.
What's done is done. I'll make you a bet, Valak.
You're a betting man. Signor Leon, mio amico, we're not in a dining hall or none of our offices. We're in a war, and only one of us is walking out of this alive.
Trust me, you'll love this one.
These Rosatis are a pain in the ass. Your Honor, we never heard you were joining us on this one. And anyway, this ain't something you can just walk into.
I'm not here to stop you. I'm not interested. I'm looking for someone.
Who? We got one hell of a mess here. Not gonna be easy to find anybody.
All I need from you is to stay out of my way.
But
even if I die here, that's none of Familia Bellona's business.
suit yourself then.
There you are.
Hold it.
I work here. Uh-huh. We got rid of all the workers.
What is he doing here? Look out, Dan!
Blood splatters and a few drops splash across Lavinia's face. Signorina Lavinia, what are you doing here? The path opened by Lapland is doing its job. Only a short distance separates her from her old friend. She lets out a soft sigh. Chaos swirls all around her, but she knows what to do. I knew you'd come, Chilinia. What a look in your eyes there. It's like I'm the prey. Let's see what the last Texas can do. Signor Director, is this chaos part of the show? Chaos? In my opinion, Secretario Rubio, everything is in perfect order. What comes next will be even better. I see. You led one of the most prestigious troops in Volsini, and you've put on a play unlike any other. We do have an intermission coming up, though. You may tell me what it is you want from me. What I want isn't very complicated. With Caracci's death, the seat of Ministro dei Lavori Pubblici is now vacant. You must be thinking about who the most suitable candidate is. I take it you've decided you're that candidate. I don't think there's anyone else better suited than me. Wow. There's still mercy in you at a time like this. The salutes of Psycho isn't gonna finish me off.
I'm not interested in a pointless fight with some punk who was never thinking it seriously to begin with.
Huh.
What are you waiting for? What do you want?
I made a bet with someone, and I hope I lose. Balak looks into the direction Texas went. No one can stop her from assassinating Giovanna. Except Giovanna herself. There is nobody else in the empty room. Texas immediately realizes what's happening, but it's too late. A knife is already up against her neck.
Since I came to Siracusa, I've been thinking of all the different ways someone might try to kill me. But I never once thought it might be you. And I never imagined you'd let your guard down at a time like this. Did you think that when I saw you'd I'd give you a big hug and cry, "Thank goodness, Chelinia, you're still alive"? And then we'd sit down and share a drink and catch up on everything that's happened over the last few years? I'm here to kill you. Great.
With that word, Giovanna drops the knife in her hand. She wears a radiant smile on her face, her expression full of longing, as if the murderer's intent from the moment ago was but a light-hearted joke.
Long time no see, Chelinia. Long time no see, Giovanna.
Alright, and we shall move on first to stage 7, titled What to Be Forgotten. Our memories keep us alive and torment us. With the addition of one new enemy here, the Familia Capo. A Familia Capo, highly respected and holding great power. Rumor has it that he never sets down his weapon, and though nobody knows where it might be hidden, some speculate that it may be inside his cigar. Sure, I'll believe it, considering considering a certain someone has a lipstick gun. Ain't that right, Swire? Anyway, the outside Teatro Milano reads, workers are quickly taking down posters of an up-and-coming lead actor. In private, people whisper about his presence at a Familia banquet the night before. Alright, and we go into the scenes for stage 7.
Sora, are you alright? Yes, I'm fine. Are you going after Texas? When I saw her a minute ago, she told me to wait for her. Let's hunker down until this mess blows over. It's total mayhem out there. If you don't want to lose her, you're gonna wanna go after her. Lapland.
A short while ago.
I feel like it's the same with Lapland. For people like her, there is no point trying to guess at what they're thinking. It's better to just accept what they say at face value. Only if every word they say is true can you start to figure if they're ultimately trying to weave truths into a lie. Why is that? Well, do you know who it is waiting in that room? Giovanna Rosati. If there's anyone who could actually get Texas to come back to Siracusa, it ain't me or Bernardo, and it sure as hell isn't Signora Sicilia. It's her, Giovanna. Celinia, you're a lot taller than you used to be. Makes sense, doesn't it? It's been years. By the way, I met some of your friends from Lungmen. Your name came up a few times, and from what they said, I can tell they're worried about you. I didn't think they'd come here. You're nothing like them at all. I never thought you'd make such lively, outgoing friends with that personality of yours. You don't count. If you really thought it was your, if you really thought I was your friend, you wouldn't have gone so long without writing me. Alright, I know you must be hiding something else. What about you? Me? Nothing much. The liquidation came too suddenly. None of Columbia's familia could sleep at night. I couldn't bear to see that any longer, so I stood up to take charge of the situation. I opened up talks with Signora Sicilia, and we basically managed to sort things out. That's all there is to it. You make it sound so easy. Honestly, I should be complaining to you. But it's been too long since I've had anyone to confide in. So that's why you poured your heart and soul into your scripts. Could you tell? La Morte di Texas, my magnum opus. There were some details in it that only you'd know. I guess that means my memory's pretty good then. But I could never decide on what to do with Act 3, with your death. I guess there is no need to think about it anymore. Actually, becoming a playwright had another purpose. It's an open secret that Bernardo passed responsibility for the Familia to his son, while he went on to become the artistic director of his troupe, Campagna dell'Abla. I wanted a chance to meet him. You know, there aren't many mafiosi who would do something like that. But the one who ended up shattering all expectations was him. I guess I should have expected it after all, from the man who built Familia Bellona into what it is in just a single generation. By the looks of things, he really wants to challenge Signora Sicilia. You don't seem worried about it. All I can say is, if Bernardo considers you his trump card against the Rosatis, he's counting his foul beasts before they've hatched. You were right to come to me, Celinia. No matter what's going on between you and the Bellonas, I can help you. Join me. The two of us together will make a difference in Siracusa. And not just because you're Salvadore's granddaughter. Because I know you, Celinia. You can make a difference. We'll start over together, Chelinia. Don't you want to know how I managed to survive? Giovanna, it was no fluke that I survived the liquidation. So, you're here, standing on this stage, performing this play. How much do you know about what happened 7 years ago? 7 years ago, Texas's father Giuseppe murdered his own father Salvatore and declared that the Texases would no longer operate under Siracusa's control. That upset Signora Sicilia, who sent an elite force from the 12 families to Colombia to liquidate the Texas family. You were part of that, weren't you? Look who's such a smarty. At that time, Chelinia of Texas was a star-studded name. She was Colombian, but even the Siracusans had nothing but wonderful things to say about her. This whole time you've been trying to beat Texas? Beat her? No. Back when the Salutos were looking after her, we were pretty competitive. Sometimes I'd win our little contest, sometimes I'd lose. I did want to beat her, but that had nothing to do with what happened later. Then, you certainly do care deeply for her. Unfortunately, that has nothing to do with the plot of the story either. At least tell me what happened. I joined in the liquidation. I was fantasizing about how she would fight me to the death for the sake of her familia. It got my heart pounding and my blood racing. But nothing could have prepared me for what I saw that day. You're a hitman too, aren't you, Dan Brown?
I am. Signorina Lavinia, 7 years ago I was part of the team that carried out the liquidation of Familia, Texas. I arrived in the city ahead of time, took up a job at a car wash, and secretly observed the Texases' every move. Then the team from Siracusa arrived, and a group of Colombians found me. Colombian mafiosi are pretty careless, real full of themselves. I could have dealt with them easily enough if it wasn't for that one girl. I knew her, she was a Texas, but everyone said she was like a Siracusan.
Chelinia.
When I see you, I'm sometimes reminded of her.
Was she as stupid as me, rambling on about ideals with a murderer?
No. Signorina Lavinia, I never meant to make fun of your ideals. It's just I can barely believe it. Hearing you talk about that stuff, it's like listening to a pretty fairy tale. To me, your ideals are so pretty, they're a kind of shortcut to get me a good night's sleep. That day, I was ready to fight for my life. I was convinced she would see right through me. But she let me walk right by her, just like this. The audience has scattered in every direction. The battle between murderers has moved on. The theater has emptied out. As Lapland speaks, she takes slight 10 steps onto the empty stage.
The associates of Familia Texas were already pretty much wiped out. But what about Chelinia? She was the only one missing. We couldn't let anyone live to talk about what happened, especially not the oldest daughter, so we all went to track her down. And that was when chaos broke out. The Texas mansion went up in flames, burning away the Familia's very existence. And the arsonist was standing there at the front door. Right in front of me. She slowly turned and walked towards me. At that moment, I understood. She decided to stand by and watch the end of her own Familia. But who could blame her? Her father murdered her grandfather and didn't want to be an accomplice to that. Only she had the right to blame herself. But there's more to it than that. When I looked into her eyes, what I saw was exhaustion.
Cellinia's story is no secret to Familia Saluzzo or to me. After all, the one who led the Saluzzo team at the time was none other than Signorina Lapland. She got kicked out because she went out of her own to hunt down Cellinia. Her men got caught up in a counterattack and a lot of them died. I won't run away, nor will I avert my eyes. For so long she has told herself as much. But this time her words fail her. Look at the bodies on the street, Lavinia. Listen to these shouts and cries in the distance. What can you do? The only advice I can give you is the same I gave to Cellinia. Run. The farther, the better. Even if your past is going to catch up to you, you'll at least enjoy a moment of peace. Otherwise, you will die.
But I still don't want to. Her past kicked down her door. Her past kicked down her door. It might have been against her will at first, but she was forced out only to find nothing changed. Maybe she'll decide the things she ran away from weren't actually all that bad. Her life in Lungmen might have been a slightly extended vacation. And now the one most intimately connected with her family and her past is standing right in front of her. That's what you want to tell me, right? Yeah. If that's the case, I will respect her decision. Even though you're her best friend? Because I'm her best friend. Darn tootin'. Unless the pizza in Siracusa becomes inedible.
Really, Sora? Really? I guess it's on brand.
My grandfather was a sentimental man. He sent me to Siracusa hoping I would remember my roots. I lived there for a while. People there told me all the time that I fit in like a Siracusan. But for me, I was just doing what I'd always been doing. The way I lived my life in Colombia was no different than the way I lived in Siracusa. And what I saw in Siracusa was no different from what I saw in Colombia. You might know the story of Familia Texas like the back of your hand, but I saw it with my own eyes. Life isn't a play where every move is sprinkled with a little heroism or villainy. What happened was just an undignified slaughter. My father bought a counterfeit gun from Black Steel. When he pulled the trigger, it exploded and did a number on him. My grandfather fell to the ground. My father drew his knife with his injured hand, but the first stab went wide. I heard everything from the doorway. Hoarse curses, groans of pain. The commotion lasted for a long time before it finally ended. In that moment I was exhausted. Exhausted with everything. So I decided to leave. Are you telling me that Lungmen is your home now? I don't know. I can't say for sure. But I at least know I had a pretty good time there. You're just like you were back then, blunt and straight to the point. Looks like I'm the one getting ahead of myself. Here I was thinking you came to ask for my help. Or at least you'd want to catch up with me. But in the end, you're here to tell me that we can never go back. You know, Cellinia, that's awfully heartless of you. I was shocked when I heard you were still alive. But you went ahead and stabbed out my hope all over again. I'm sorry, Giovanna. I don't want to be Siracusan or Colombian. I just want to be Cellinia, Texas. This is your last chance. If you walk through those doors, you'll be my enemy. The Rosati's enemy. You'll be in our way, and I, as Donna Rosati, have a responsibility to eliminate everything that stands in our way. Don't make me do this. We are just too sentimental, Giovanna.
Alright, and we continue with the after part. The most unremarkable Dipartimento di Sicurezza Alimentare. And its popular but underappreciated Segretario. At this point, men like Karachi, who were propped up to maintain balance between the major familia, are no longer needed. What you need is a puppet that is safe and useful. Am I wrong? Signor Segretario, a truly safe and useful puppet would never refer to him as such. I just happen to be a bit more self-aware than others. And mightily self-aware you are. You're right, Rubio. You are the best candidate to replace Karachi. But if you're willing to be so frank with me, I might as well share something with you. I'm listening. My associates killed Karachi. You've got guts, and I like talking with men like you. So I'm willing to give you a chance. Turn around and leave this room. Forget what you just said, and no harm will come to you. Then go back home and spend some time with your wife and daughter. Savor the last moments of peace in the city. Doesn't that mean you'd need a puppet like me all the more? You're after this chaos. What's happening all around us? You want to overthrow the law laid down by Signora Sicilia, but you don't care if she rules. Or if we go back to the old ways. The conflict among Familia never had anything to do with us commoners. When something happens, we just wait to see the results. It makes no difference to the commoners whether Signora Sicilia rules or you do. But the winner will need someone to maintain the facade of order. As the Donna of a Familia, surely you understand this principle. It isn't impossible for the commoners to survive without the Familia, but the same cannot be said for the Familia without the commoners. You're telling me that you hold the real power? No, I'm making a self-serving justification for the weak. A good justification at that. But it doesn't tell me that what you're really after. Power, Don Bernardo. Since I was a kid, everyone looked down on me because I'm weak, and I look like, you know, this. The oppression I felt from the people around me was more real than anything the Familia ever did. I've suffered that my entire life waiting for this chance. You tell me you're one who had Karachi killed. All I can think is, thank goodness I came at the right time. You may not want to hear this, but if you're going up against Signora Sicilia, it's probably not going to go your way. But who cares? Doesn't matter to me if you win or lose, in the end. But power is something Signora Sicilia can't give me. It's gotta be you. You're an honest man, Rubio. I like making friends with honest men. Don Bernardo? Whispering. Give my order. Tell them that's enough for today. Of course.
What just happened? That room over there started shaking. Looks like she chose you. Huh? That earthquake is Giovanna's arts. Sounds like they had a falling out. Look, Texas jump out the window. Let's go after her. Right. Texas. If, and I mean if, We were friends back then. Could I have kept you in Siracusa? Bad chance, right? We would have just slaughtered each other.
Lavinia, don't make me kill you. I've got a job to do. I want to point out that Lavinia's picture here has been changed once again to her battle form. Signorina Lavinia, I pray that you aren't born in Siracusa the next time around. Just a second. Who are you? You're one of Saluzzo's hitmen, right? This operation is over. Don Bernardo's orders just in. Lavinia, you shouldn't have shown your face here.
That's not up to you.
You've interfered with a Saluzzo operation that's going to ruin the relationship between our two familia.
So, why don't you go and beg Alberto's forgiveness with my head on a silver platter?
Wait, please. Signor Bernardo, I mean Don. I have a presumptuous request. I imagine Signor Leontuzzo will be very busy in the future. It'll be unrealistic to expect him to help me the way he did Karachi. I'd like to ask you for a new assistant. The judge here would be a suitable pick. That certainly is one option.
What are you two talking about?
How impertinent of me carrying on this conversation without including the subject, Signorina Lavinia. Don Bernardo has decided that I, Rubio, the humble ex-secretario di Sicurezza Alimentare, shall take Karachi's place as the next Ministro dei Lavori Pubblici. And I have to admit, I'm not too experienced with bureaucratic affairs. So I hope that you, as someone with ample experience, will become my assistant.
I wonder how Sora and the others are doing. What? Why are you here?
When you get old, you start looking for a place to enjoy the rest of your days. Found her. She's right over there. Surround her.
Looks like you insist on getting in my way.
She's still worried about you after what happened. As for me, I'm old now, so I spend my days taking care of the youth. It's a hobby. Stay a while and have a chat with your elder.
Next time. Texas, we'll protect you. Croissant? Aha! Let's have a look-see. Who's off fighting all by herself? Why are you all here? As far as I can tell, the Siracusan families always fight together. It's your culture. And pagan logistics culture is... to party hard? In this case, it should be... don't be afraid to rumble, right? You got it! Seriously though, old man, you think you could let this one slide? A favor from one sancta to another?
Jesus.
Get your head on straight, Exia.
You do have a point. The rainy season in Siracusa is a long one. It didn't bother me when I was young, but now the arthritis is such a hassle. Children striving for strength is fine, but remember to put your health and safety first.
You're pulling my leg. Thanks a bunch. By the way, if I ever did want to talk to you, how could I find you?
If you're searching for redemption, I'm afraid there is nothing I can do for you. But if you're searching for order, you will find me everywhere.
That's enough. Let's get out of here. Woohoo!
Donna?
What's the situation?
The Balanas have retreated.
Good work.
Where's Shalinia?
Gone.
Gone.
She couldn't kill me, and I couldn't kill her. Let's head back and prepare. The Polanas aren't going to let this go.
Right. You for one, don't do so.
Your original plan wasn't to win over Valak, was it? But wasn't that the best option given the circumstances? Can't deny that. Alright, enough talk. Let's get you in the car. Leon, you still haven't given up, have you? Compared to what Lavinia has been through, this setback is nothing. We're going to do great things. Maybe one day you might actually be able to realize your dreams in Siracusa. And when that time comes, you'll be my right-hand man. I don't get along with Lavinia. There are some things better left to her, and others better left for you. You cheeky bastard. You're already thinking about that kind of stuff.
Dmitri, I'm still angry about what you and my father were plotting.
I don't understand why he insists on continuing, even now. But in the end, I'm still a part of this familia. Safe landing! It feels great to be back on our own turf. Siracusans sure are a pain in the ass. I'm totally wiped. You hanging in there, Sora? Yes, but my dress got a little torn up. Well, shoot. That one was awfully expensive, wasn't it? We'll figure something out. Alrighty, one bottle per person. Come on, knock it off with that stone face. Just think of it this way. The three of us also happen to be on vacation here. Then, what's with the show? Oh, that's, just a way to grow my career. Plus, I thought it might make finding you a little easier. I reckon it sure did, looking at the way things turned out. Sure enough.
The atmosphere remains chilly for a while. But finally, an unavoidable problem emerges. Where do they go from here? Texas does not have it in her to ask.
Texas, I had an agreement with the director. Now that I found you, I will stay here and complete my performance contract. But I've spoken with the director a few times. It's a little scary in retrospect, but I don't think he is the kind of man to hold our lives over you. You have a point. If he wanted to do something like that, he would have locked us up a long time ago. Okay, alright, let's quit the yawning. You keep talking and I keep getting scarier and scarier. We really are here to see you. If it wasn't so dangerous out there, I'd like to I'd like you to show us around. Okay, when we're through all this, I'll give you a tour. Anyways, let's celebrate this Penguin Logistics reunion in Siracusa.
All four of them, cheers!
The biggest thing? An unknown number. I don't remember ever giving out this number. Hello, who am I speaking with?
It seems you're safe and sound, Signorina Sora. That's a relief.
You know what happened with Texas, right?
Don't worry, Signorina. Your Penguin Logistics friends must be enjoying a joyous reunion. And I certainly don't want to interrupt it. But I was just thinking you might have a lot of questions for me. So I'll be waiting for you at the theater tomorrow.
Right.
And that is where we are gonna end for today. Like I said prior, nothing majorly got added, no extra scenes with characters. The only thing that did get added is one, or rather I had gotten added, was this little thing here for Texas. Actually, never mind. Why did I not see this? What? Was I blind? I guess I was blind. Anyway, we're gonna include that in the next episode because this one is already approaching the 2-hour mark and I don't want to blow that out too much, and I have no idea how much this is gonna unlock next, so next time. But for now, we're just gonna add the radio. A radio that suddenly appeared by the side of the road, currently broadcasting opera music. The person who received it was in such a hurry, she did not realize she accidentally smashed one of its corners. Anyway, next time we're gonna then begin with, I guess, whatever is opening through these now, and gonna continue in the normal fashion. Anyway, this will be it for this part. As always, thank you very much for listening and watching. If you did like this video, please consider leaving a like. It helps the videos a lot in the algorithm and they mean a lot to me as well. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. There's a lot more like this on the channel. Been doing that for a while now, after all. And much more to come. And as always, I hope you have a fantastic day wherever you are, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, bye bye.